Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, which is SUKKAH Memches. We begin at the Mishnah, 4 lines from the top of the Amud. HaHalal, the recital of the full Halal. Ve'asimcha, and to conduct oneself with Simcha, Rashi says, specifically to consume Shlomim, Shalmei Simcha. So we spoke about that happening throughout all 8 days of Sukkot, including Shmini Atzeres, Shmoina. Ketzad, how does that work? How do you get to number 8? Answers the Mishnah. Malamed, this teaches us Shechayev Adam b'Halalu b'Simcha u'b'Kavod Yom Tov ha'achar Shechag. We learn from here that one is obligated to say Halal, the full Halal, to conduct oneself with Simcha, to honor the last Yom Tov of Sukkot, meaning Shmini Atzeres, Kish'ar Kol Yemei Chag, just like all the other days of Sukkot. So the 8th day is included in Halal, in Simcha, just as the other days as well. Says the Gemara, Manan immediately. How do we know that that's to be so? Rashi brings the pasuk which speaks about being besimcha v'samachta b'chagecha throughout 7 days of Sukkot. How would we know to include the 8th day as well? The Tana Rabbanan we learned in the Brisa. V'yisa ach sameach. It's an extra pasuk coming to add another aspect of simcha. This teaches us l'rabbis leila yom tova achron, to include the last night. So leila is lashon rabbim, referring to all the last nights, meaning throughout the years. So the last night of Yom Tov, the night prior to Shmini Atzeres, l'rabbis leila yom tova achron. Let's go straight to Rashi here, off to the right. Gemara, Manan Emili. How would we know that there's a chiyuv simcha on the 8th day? The Shmini chayiv b'simcha. Why would I think not? It says Rashi, don't like sivbei behedya. We don't have a pasuk referring to the 8th day as something included in the simcha of Yom Tov. Ela b'shivas yimei we only have it for the 7 days. Chsiv chag sukkos tas l'chashivas yom v'samach v'samachta b'chagecha. Perhaps simcha only applies to 7. The answer is we have a pasuk. V'yisa ach somech. That's an extra pasuk. Bahi parsha da'asa ta'asa ksiv zayim tachag, and we have the pasuk of V'yisa ach someach, which is coming to be marba. L'rabbis leila yom tov ha'achron l'simcha shalafana. It's coming to tell you at the last night of Shmini Atzeres, that's going to be included into the simcha of the days preceding it. L'koyleim shivas hayamim, to include into the simcha of the prior 7 days, the 7 days before Shmini Atzeres. She is bach. What does simcha mean? Says Rashi, in the time of the Mikdash, it was primarily fulfilled by eating the basar shlamim. So how do you get simcha on the night of Shmini Atzeres? You can't bring a carbon that night. They bring a carbon that night. So the answer is she is bach shlamim b'shvi k'dei lechoy lo Shmini. He's meant to ensure that he has adequate shlamim supply that night. How? By bringing a carbon that day. So the carbon bought on the 7th will supply the night, the following night, with basar. What's the point of Isach Sameach? Once the pasuk already mentioned simcha, why is the pasuk repeated again? Ela l'rabbis simcha stel shmini, to include simcha on that very night, the night of Shmini Atzeres. Now it's not going to stop there. V'kivan this rabbi leil yom tov ha'achron shu tafa. Once we included that night, which is secondary, the night is secondary to the next day. Kavachayim hayom shu ikar shechayiv b'simcha. Certainly the next day, which is the ikar, is man. The main time to celebrate is by day. That's the primary is man within the 24-hour cycle is the daytime. So if the night is included in simcha, of course the following day. So now we've included the last day of Sukkot, incorporated into simcha, whether the night of Shmini Atzeres or the day of Shmini Atzeres. Says Rashi. How do we know that we're trying to include the last night? Perhaps we have to include other nights, because the pasuk says you're meant to be b'simcha 7 days. Maybe it's only days. And now Vayisach Sameach is going to include another night or other nights throughout those 7 days. How would you know to add on the last night? Says Rashi, the answer is the Yamim afilu leilos b'mashma. Because when it says Shiva Yamim, you're meant to be b'simcha. Of course, nights are included. The nights of those 7 days. As we learned by Sukkah, although it says Vasukkah Teshu Shiva Yamim, we learn from Miluim that Yamim includes nights as well. So those nights are automatically included. We need a drush that's to include the last night, the night of Shmini Atzeres, which is beyond 7. Says Rashi, Val Korchach Lailis Rabbi. How do you not include the night? Maybe we're only going to include the day of Shmini Atzeres. Says Rashi, it must be so. Shu Samach L'Shivas HaYamim, because the night of Shmini Atzeres is in close proximity to those 7 days discussed in the pasuk. It's the night that follows those 7 days. Of course, that's what the pasuk is referring to. Let's extend the Simcha of Shivas HaYamim into the following night. What about the following day? It's Kal V'Chomer. Well, if the night is included, of course, the day which is the main Zman, that's also included in Simcha. And what's the pasuk teaching us? V'ashmi'inon shebeshlamim hanizbochem b'chag HaSukkos yismechu b'leil Shmini. Once again, the point is prepare in advance. You can't bring a carbon on the night of Shmini Atzeres. You're not makriv at night. Rather, bring a carbon on the 7th day and use that shlamim to supply your simcha for the following night. So let's go back to the Gemara. Mishnah spoke about the last night and day of Sukkot being included in the simcha aspect. How do we know? Says the Gemara, how did you know? It's referring to last night, and by extension, the last day, as Rashi said. Asks the Gemara, or perhaps it's going to be marba the first night. Ella Leilei Yom Tov Harishon. Perhaps the pasuk is telling you, look, make sure that on the first night of Yom Tov you have shlama meat available. Now, of course, you can't bring a shlama at night, so inevitably you're going to have to bring it on Erev Yom Tov, even though it's not yet the Zman of Simcha. Apparently that works as well. You don't need the shlamim to be shechted bizman simcha. Prepare the shlamim in advance of Yom Tov so you have something to eat that night, be b'simcha. Perhaps it's not referring to the last night. Pasuk says, ach is differentiating, splitting, excluding. So we're going to exclude the first night and add the last night. What makes you say that your way is correct? What prompted you to prefer including the last night? To exclude the first night? Marbani, says the Gemara, the reason why Amarba Leila Yom Tov Achron is because it makes more sense. Sheish Simcha Lafanav. Keep in mind, the last night is an extension of the days preceding it. It's preceded by days of Simcha, 7 days of Sukkot. So let's assume the Simcha just extends into the next night, the next day. Umoitzi ani Leila Yom Tov Rishon, as opposed to the first night of Yom Tov, that's to be excluded. Shein Simcha Lafanav, because it's not preceded by days of Simcha, so we have a choice. Which night should we apply the pasuk? Last or first? It's more probable. It's going on the last, which is preceded by days of Simcha. Let's assume Simcha just continues on, rides into the next day, Leil and Yom Shmini Atzeres. So we learn from the Mishnah, the Gemara, that Halal and Simcha applies all throughout 8 days of Sukkot. Sukkah Shiva Ketzah, we spoke about Shiva, Sukkah, being fulfilled for only 7 days. How does that work? Says the Mishnah, Gomar Melechel, as soon as he's done eating on the 7th day, last day of Chol HaMoed, Layater SUKKAH, you shouldn't take a part of Sukkah because you might still need it until the end of the day. Aval Meredis HaKelim, Mina Mincha Lamala, starting from Mincha time, Mincha Ktana, the Ritva says, that's 9.5 hours into the day, that's the time to start preparing for Yom Tov. Start bringing down the kelim, the dishes, the sheets, the blankets. By the way, it says Mered because their sukkahs were generally situated on the rooftops. So you bring it down to the home. Why? What's the point of doing this? To show, to indicate that you're trying to prepare in advance of the Yom Tov, the upcoming Yom Tov that night. Start preparing for that Yom Tov by preparing the Makim Seudah in the house. Let's go over to Rashi. So you'll notice the lines widen in the middle, so it's about 2-3 lines before that. Masnisin. Gomer Melechel. So he's done eating on the 7th day. Layater SUKKAH, so he shouldn't take a part of Sukkah. Layater Agodim Shal Seisra. They'll call Ayom Chivasa. He has to continue using that Sukkah until the end of the day. Lishan, V'lishanin, sleep and learn. V'ikol Sudasa Achal B'gavav. If he happens to have something to eat, he'll have to eat it in the Sukkah. So you can't take it apart, but to start preparing for Yom Tov that you meant to do. Aval Merdu is Hakelim V'Sam Atzoyis and Shtamshem V'Seicha. Sheets, the blankets. All these nice dishes and household items you meant to bring up to the sukkah and stop bringing them down. To indicate that you're preparing yourself in advance of the upcoming Yontiv, preparing yourself a place for the Sudas HaLayla, which is going to be in the home. Says the Gemara, let's say he has no kelim to take down from the sukkah. His sukkah is bare. How's he going to prepare? How's he going to show that he's preparing for the Yontiv? He has no kelim. So what? How did he use the sukkah? What did he eat in? What was he using throughout sukkahs? What do you mean he has no kelim? Ella ainly makim lohirid kelim mao. Suppose he has kelim but nowhere to take them. He has nowhere else to eat. His house is crowded, and inevitably he's going to end up eating in a sukkah, even on Shmini Atzeres. Now we're speaking, let's say in Eretz Yisrael. So on Shmini Atzeres, it's already past the 7 days of sukkahs. But he has nowhere to eat. He's going to have to eat in the sukkah. So what should he do? Well, what's the Gemara's kasha? What do you mean, what should he do? So Rashi explains, what should he do to show that he's not really trying to do Baal Tosef, to sit an extra day in the sukkah beyond the required Zman? That'll be an Isra Baal Tosef. So what should he do to indicate that he's simply sitting there by way of circumstance, but not K'dei to be Makayim the mitzvah? So, this Caleb Mao, if he has no other place to deliver his Caleb, this is what he's going to eat tomorrow as well. What should he do to indicate that it's just out of circumstance, but not l'shem mitzvah? What he should do is, he should remove 4 tefachim of SUKKAH. By doing so, he makes the sukkah puzzle, which will be a clear indication that he's not eating the l'shem sukkah. Now, Tosfos asks a kasha, why would you need 4 tefachim? Once you remove the SUKKAH, you have aver, airspace. We learned earlier that airspace invalidates the sukkah by merely 3 tefachim beyond Lovin. So why do you have to remove 4 tefachim of SUKKAH? The Tosfos asks this kasha on Rashi Vatema, and he leaves it as a kasha. So other Mefarshim say Rashi simply meant that he's going to remove the kasher SUKKAH but replace it with SUKKAH Pasal. He's not going to leave it open, just empty space. So if he's going to put SUKKAH Pasal, then we go back to the share of SUKKAH Pasal, which only invalidates if it has 4 tefachim. So in any case, he's doing this to indicate that this is no longer a kosher sukkah, and he's not using this sukkah l'shem sukkah just merely out of convenience and circumstance. Rabbi Shimon Levi Amar, Malik bar saner. He'll light a candle in the sukkah. We learned earlier, Daf Chav Tes, that a candle is meant to stay out of the sukkah, provided it's a small sukkah, concerned about catching fire. So if he lights a candle in the sukkah, in effect, what is he doing? He's using the sukkah in a less than ideal way and showing that he's not doing it l'shem sukkah. So you have 2 options. Remove SUKKAH, light a candle. There isn't really a machlokes, it just depends on your location. The Amoraim were reflecting different circumstances. Halon valahu. So lon for us in Bnei Bavel, where the 8th day Shmini Atzeres is really a suffix day 7. And we still have to sit in the sukkah, just in case it's day 7. So we're not meant to invalidate the sukkah. You're not going to be paisel the sukkah. Rather, just light a candle to indicate that it's not really the Shem Mitzvah, it's just not a suffix. Whereas halahu in Eretz Yisrael, where they didn't have to sit in the sukkah at all, Shmini Atzeres, they knew it was already past as man sukkah. So there, they should be peiches. They should remove some SUKKAH to invalidate the sukkah. That's Rashi's approach. The Riv has a different approach. He learns that in Chutz La'aretz, in Bavel, where they have to sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres, there's no need to provide any indicators that it's not l'shem mitzvah, because you have to sit there. L'shem, it is a suffix. What's wrong with sitting there on account of suffix? That's not about Tosef. But Tosef means if you're fully aware of the fact that you don't have to do it, and you do it anyways to add, that's about Tosef. But here you have to do it l'shem suffix. It might be day 7. So he learns differently than Rashi. He says in Eretz Yisrael, where they no longer sat in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres, then on Chol HaMoed, the 7th day of Sukkot, you peiches a sukkah, you make it puzzle. It's Chol HaMoed, you can take apart your sukkah. So that's the way to do it. But in Chutz La'aretz, where they had to sit in the sukkah of Shmini Atzeres, you don't tinker with the sukkah on the 7th day, nor on the 8th day. Now on the 8th day, if he still wants to sit in there on the 9th day, that's how the Rif learns. If he wants to extend his stay in the sukkah for another day, because out of lack of space, he wants to stay in the sukkah, Now you have to show that it's not l'shem sukkah, because on the 9th day at Simchas Torah, there's no reason to send the sukkah. So he has to do something, but he can't be placed on the sukkah, because keep in mind, it's Yom Tov, it's Shmini Atzeres, he can't take about the SUKKAH Shmini Atzeres. So that's the solution of Ner. Right? So he lights a candle by doing that, he's showing that it's not being fulfilled, the Shem Sukkah. He's not sitting there in an ideal fashion. He's lighting a candle, which is not meant to be done with Sukkah. By doing so, he mitigates the effect of Baal Tosef. Continues the Gemara. Okay, this candle option only works by a small sukkah. Remember, the Chachamim don't allow you to light a candle because it might catch fire. That's only a solution for a small sukkah. Sukkah gedolah ma'ikal meima. What do you do with a large sukkah where a candle doesn't do anything? Nothing wrong with lighting a candle in a large sukkah. So what do you do there? Answers the Gemara. There is a way to indicate that it's not l'shem mitzvah, even without doing a malacha. The ma'ayel b'mani meichla. He'll bring in some unclean bowls and plates, dishes used for food, which are not belong in the sukkah. And by bringing those in the sukkah, he's indicating that it's not l'shem mitzvah, and there's no Baal Tosef. Damarava mani mechla barim talalta. Food dishes are meant to stay outside the sukkah. Tosef actually learns that it's referring to pots and pans. They're meant to stay outside. Mani mishtayim talalta. Cups and glasses and bottles, which are meant to use for liquid, even if once they're used, they're not so unclean, and they can be put into the sukkah. So in any case, he brings these unclean food dishes, plates, bowls, according to Tosef's pots and pans, into the sukkah. By doing so, he mitigates the effect, the Baal Tosef effect. Okay, so in conclusion, we learn about preparing in advance of the Yom Tov Achron, bring down the Kalim. But let's say he has no place to bring the kalim. He's going to end up using this sukkah all throughout Shmini Atzeres, maybe during Simchas Torah. So what should he do to indicate that it's not going to be done l'shem mitzvah? It shouldn't be about Baal Tosef issue. So the way the Rif learns, well, it depends where you are. If you're in Eretz Yisrael, so on the 7th day, either bring down the kalim if that works, but otherwise be peiches arba, make the sukkah apostle in preparation for the 8th day to show that it's not l'shem mitzvah. According to if it's in Chutz La'aretz, then the way to do it is wait until the next day. Shmini Atzeres, if you're done eating, either bring the kalim down or light a ner if it's a small sukkah, or bring in the dishes when it's a large sukkah. Nisach Hamayim Ketzad. We spoke about pouring water on the mizbech all throughout the days of Sukkos. How did they go about doing this? Tzleicha Shol Zav. They had this golden container, which would contain 3 lugim of water. They would fill it from the Shiloach stream running outside Yerushalayim. Once they filled it, they brought it to the Harabais. They brought to the Shar HaMayim. This was the gate called Shar HaMayim. And the reason why it's called Shar HaMayim was because of this event. Because through this gate, they would actually deliver the water on Sukkot. Taku ve'riu v'taku. They blew the shofar, tkiya, trua, tkiya, as an expression of celebration. Olaba kevesh. The kohen ascended the kevesh. Upon al he made a left turn. So you have the mizbeach, okay? And you have Ma'arav over here, Mizrach over here. The kevesh is coming from Durham to Tzafin. Kohen would rise up would climb up the kevesh and make a left turn to the Ma'arav Durham corner. That's where he would pour the water. Where there were 2 of these silver containers. Apparently they were affixed to the Mizbeach itself, but they were both situated at that corner. They were made of cement of lime. Their surface was blackened because of the wine. So according to Tanakama, they were made of silver, which would eventually blacken. Rabbi Yehuda says no. It wasn't actually silver, it was made of cement, but it blackened because of the wine poured into the buckets. And each one of these containers had a spout on the bottom with a hole. Now, one of these containers had a wider hole, the other one had a more narrow hole. Why? Because remember, one of them was for wine, one for water, and wine is thicker than water. In order for both liquids to deplete at once, you would have to have the wine one a bit thicker, a bit wider, so that to account for the thicker consistency. In this case, when they poured them both in at once, they would actually deplete at the same time. Ma'arav Shalmayim, the container closer to the Ma'arav side of the Mizbeach, so for the Kodesh HaKadoshim, was meant for Shalmayim, for water. Mizrach Shal Yain, the container more towards Mizrach, was intended for receiving the wine. Now, what if you mix things up? Ira Shal Mayim L'Toich Shal Yain, if you pour the water into the wine container, V'Shal Yain Toich Shal Mayim, or the wine into the water container, Yatza, it's okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he disagrees on two accounts. Number one, belug hayamanasach. Instead of it being 3 lugim of water, it was only 1 lug. That's number one. Kol shemayna. Instead of just 7 days of nisach hamayim, Rida maintains, it would extend into the 8th day of Sukkot as well. Okay, now this fellow went up to Kevish and approached the buckets. V'lamanasach. And to this fellow who would pour the water, Omer, they would tell him, look, hagbeh yadcha. We want you to lift your hand to show us what you're doing. Why? Because the tzedukkim, they were against all these ceremonies. They held it was not mandated, not Torah. They didn't believe in Torah Shabbat Peh. Shepamachad, in fact, it was once a story, Shepamachad nosach echad al gabi ragul. There was a stuki who, instead of pouring the water into the bucket, poured it on his feet. So that's why they tell the fellow, listen, pick up your hand. We want you to show us clearly what you're doing. This fellow poured on his feet, urugamu, and everybody pelted him with their esregim. The same procedure that occurred during the weekdays with respect to Nisach HaMayim. The same thing took place on Shabbos with one minor difference. They couldn't carry from the Mayan HaShiloyach to the Yerushalayim, so they had to prepare in advance. Just like by the Arabis, they had to prepare in advance. Ela Shayim Mali Merav Shabbos. They used to fill from before Shabbos. They would take a golden barrel, which was not Kaddish, not Kli Sharis. They would fill the water from the Shiloyach. Why would it have to be Eina Mekudesh? The answer is because if it was Kaddish, if it had din of Kli Sharis, then anything contained in that Kli Sharis would become pasul if it was left overnight, pasul belina. So they had to use specifically a chavetz which was not Kodesh, B'Kedushas HaGof, not intended for Mizbeach service. Fill it up with water, umanicha balishka, and place it in the chamber. Now what happened if nishpacha got spilled out? Nizgal, so it got exposed to the elements and to the snakes and to the creatures. He would no longer use that water, rather he'd fill the water from the kir and use that instead. That was also suitable. Although not l'chatchila, but under these circumstances, it was okay. Because wine or water exposed to the elements of psul and mizbech cannot be used for the mizbech. Rashi learns the reason is because concerned about a snake drinking some of that water and replacing with venom, in which case you don't have a shear, the required amount of water any longer. Taisus learns differently. It's not respectful to use water which was tapped in by creatures, and therefore he says it's not hakrivela, it's hakrivela pasech. Give it to your governor. It's a pasuk which says that you want to serve the best and the nicest to Hashem, rather than using liquids which were partially consumed by creatures. Says the Manan Amili, how do we know this? Rashi learns Manan Amili meant to blow with a shofar as a sign of a simcha. Omrav Ino Damakro, the Shav Tamayim B'Sas, meant to draw the water with celebration and pomp, including blowing the shofar. Taisus learns, the Gemara is asking, how do we know that we draw the water from the Mayan HaShiloach, from the stream, from the spring? And the answer is, Ushav Tamayim B'Sasin, and the pasuk concludes, Mimayna Yeshua, to indicate he meant to draw the water from a Mayan, from a spring, from a well. Continues the Gemara. This is going to be an interesting Gemara, where two Aminim, heretics, didn't believe in Torah's Moshe, and whether they were Jews or Goyim, it's not clear. But in any case, we're going to see an interesting back and forth between two heretics, two Minim, and it pretty much highlights it was just so ludicrous that they would come up with these perverted pshatim. They would misconstrue psukim because of their lack of knowledge and true understanding and how to learn Torah. And this pretty much highlights the fact that it's so important to have the Messiah, which is handed down from door to door, giving us the proper approach and clarity on how to learn psukim and understand them properly. Hano Treimini, though, there's two heretics, two minim, Chad Shmei Sasan and Chad Shmei Simcha. One whose name was Sasan, other whose name was Simcha. Amle Sasan and Simcha. Sasan addresses Simcha and he says, Ano, Adifna minach. I'm better than you. L'chsiv sasain v'simcha yasigu. Pasuk puts the word sasan, puts me ahead of you. Sasan v'simcha. Amalei simcha la sasan. Simcha responds to sasan. Really? Ana adifna minach. Look, I'm superior to you. L'chsiv simcha is a pasuk in Gilas Esther. Simcha v'sasan la Yehudim. So we see simcha comes before sasan. Amalei sasan la simcha. Sasan responds to simcha. Chad yoima. It's going to come a day. Shav kucha. They're going to abandon you. They're going to single you out. V'shav yucha parvanka. They're going to point you as a scout, as a tour guide. You're going to have to go ahead and show everybody where to go. Through simcha, you'll know how to travel. Simcha turns to sasan. Well, look what they're going to do to you. Chad yoima. It's going to come a day. Shav kucha. They're going to abandon you. They're going to single you out. Umalo b'chamaya. They're going to use you to fill water. You're going to have to draw water for everybody. Draw water, sasan. Sasan will be the water carrier. This min, whose name was Sasan, turns to Ravo and he says, Asi disu. In the days to come, it's going to come a day where the timlu milimaya la'amadasi. You're going to serve me. You're going to fill water for me in the world to come. You're going to draw water and serve me. Serve Sasan. You're going to be my servant. Amalei, so Ravo responded in kind. The Pasuk will say Shaftamayim Lisasain, which would indicate that we're going to fill water for you, serve you. And you have a point. Pasuk doesn't say Shaftamayim Lisasan, Shaftamayim Bisasan. You know what that means? They're going to use the skin of this fellow, of you. They're going to turn into a container, a leather container. Fill it with water. So this is the ludicrous results of misconstruing psukim, which actually the Christians would do throughout all the Deris. They would misinterpret and misconstrue various psukim in Tanakh to lure unsuspecting Jewish souls to their grip, proving all kinds of ridiculous assertions about Isa Ish and the mother, the Psula. Take psukim, misinterpret and misrepresent because they're lacking in the proper understanding and clarity which was handed down in the Masorah of Klal Yisrael. And only that way do we have a proper understanding of the Psukim. Says the Gemara, Ola ba'kevish upana l'smoila. So the Kohen went up to Kevish and turned to his left. This was an exception, because typically when you go up onto Kevish, you would make a right. We learned this many times, in Yuma, Sukkah, that you go around the Mizbeach towards your right, derech yamin. Says the Brisa, Tana Rabbanan. Why was this different? Why in this case did he make a left? Typically, when you go up the Mizbeach, you make a right turn. Derech yamin. We learned this from Pasuk. You meant to make a right turn. Umakifin v'yordin derech small, and you go around and around towards the left. Meaning, we have the Mizbeach, we have the Kevish. Typically, even if you had a job to do on the far side of the Mizbeach, you would make a left. You go to the right, and as Rashi explains, it's as though you're facing the Mizbeach, so you're always going towards your right hand as you proceed, pretty much counterclockwise around the Mizbeach, but it's towards your right. And that's how you would circle the Mizbeach counterclockwise, called derech yamin. Except for a fellow going up to tend to the following three things, these are exceptions. Derech smoil, for which you would go up making a left, derech smoil, towards his left. So he would go up, instead of making a right and going all around, he would make a direct left to this corner, which is Darim Marav, and come right back on his heel, meaning just go right back, which now is derech yamin, right? But the chiddush is that to get to his destination, he would go derech smoil. So what are these three things? When the Kohen went up to pour the water or the wine, or to tend to the oila, which was a bird, when there was too much traffic in Mizrach. So typically, the oila sa'if was taken care of on the right corner, Durham Mizrach. But when there was too much traffic, he would go over to the Marav Durham to take care of it. So when he went to take care of these three things, Nisach HaMayim, Nisach HaYayin, as in our mission, or Oila Sa'if, he would make a left, and the Gemara explains in Menachos because we're concerned about damaging the wine, water, or bird by transporting it around the Mizbeach, or it might be exposed to smoke. So to take care of these things properly, they have to make a direct left to the closest corner. So we had two containers at that corner, one intended for receiving water, one for wine. Tanakama maintains they were silver, which eventually gets tarnished and blackened. Rabbi Yehuda says it was made of sid, of cement, but eventually it blackened because of the water. Asks the Gemara, because of the wine. Wine only went into one. Why were they both black? We understand the one meant to contain wine, mashcher, would blacken. But the maya amay mashcher, why would the one meant for water become black? The answer is kivan amar, because we learned in the Mishnah. If you mix them up, it's good. But the evidence kosher, ira shel mayim til shel yain. You put the water into the wine container, or v'shel yain til shel mayim, or the wine into the water yatsa. But the evidence works. Shel mayim nami asla shchuri. It would actually end up getting black. The water one would get black as well. Rashi says sometimes Kohen wouldn't pay attention since it wasn't me'akev, and he would pour the wrong one into the wrong one, in which case both eventually had their share of wine and got black. Mishnah said that both these vessels had a spout coming out from the bottom. One was a narrow hole, one was a wider hole. To account for the discrepancy and consistency between wine and water, we wanted for some reason that they both deplete at one time. Perhaps our Mishnah is followed Rabbi Yehuda, not the Rabbanon. How is that? This is not Rabbi Yehuda. You see, according to Rabbi Yehuda, there was a wide gap between the amount of wine used, which was 3 lugan, and the amount of water, which was 1 lug. So according to him, we understand why the hole had to be designed differently. You had to have a wider hole for wine, which was way more than the water. So in order for both of them to run out at the same time, you have to give enough leeway for the wine, a wide hole so that it catches up with the water. So perhaps that's the Mishnah. That tells us that the wine was mu'uva, was a larger hole, and the water was thinner, because Rabbi Yehuda maintains it was 3 times as much wine and water. And to allow it to catch up, you have to make a wider hole. The Rabban, because according to Rabban, wine and water were the same shiur, both a lug. Sorry, both 3 lugan. Right? According to Rabbanon, everybody agrees. Wine was 3 lugan. According to Rabbanon, water was 3 lugan as well. So they're both running out at the same speed, the same pace, same amount. So why do you have to design different types of holes? One for the wine, one for the water. According to Rabbi Yehuda, we understand, because he held that the wine was 3 lugan, but the water was 1 lug, as expressed in the Mishnah. So the hole for wine had to be wider, to allow it to catch up to the water. Says the Mano, Afilu Teim Rabbanon. Our Mishnah could be following the Rabbanon as well. So although as far as the quantity, wine and water were equal, they're both 3 lugan, but remember, there's a difference in the consistencies. Chamra samach, wine is a bit thicker than water. Maya kolish, water is thinner. To allow for the wine to sort of catch up to the pace of water, you have to give him some more space. And that's why the hole was a bit thicker. Hachinam mistabra will actually prove that our Mishnah is the Rabbanon. It can't work according to Rabbi Yehuda. Did Rabbi Yehuda, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, we're using wrong words in the Mishnah. Mishnah says one was mu'uva, one was dak. Rabbi Yehuda uses different terminology. You see, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to account for 2 discrepancies between the wine and the water. One is the consistency. Wine is thicker, so you have to give more leeway. Number 2, is 3 times as much wine than water. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, the hole out of which the wine would drain out was way bigger than the water. The Rabbi Yehuda rochav v'katzer isli. Rabbi Yehuda described the difference between the 2 holes as one being rochav, very wide and big. That was for the wine because it was thicker and 3 times as much. The concert on the water was just small and narrow and just small because it was less, it was 1 lug and a thinner consistency. So Rabbi Yehuda would use the words rachav v'katzer islay. Then that's his way of referring to it. Now Mishnah should have referred to it in that way if it was Rabbi Yehuda. The Sandi B'daimer shnei kasva'is hayisham. There were 2 containers there. Echad shamayim. One to contain water, one for wine. Shal yayin pia rochav. The spout for the wine was wide, was big. Shamayim pia katzer, as opposed to the water which was small and narrow. Kadesh yushneim kolon bas achas. Shema Mino, so they both run out at the same pace at the same time. Shema Mino is a raya that, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the right terms are rachav and katzah, because you have to account for two discrepancies. The fact that wine is thicker, it needs a larger hole to begin with. In fact, it was 3 times as much as the water. That certainly requires a rachav, as opposed to the water, which really needs a katzah. But our Mishnah, which does not use those terms, rather it's just mu'uva and dak, a slight difference in size, a little thicker, a little thinner. That's indeed rabbonon. That wine and water were both the same shear, both with 3 lugan, so the difference isn't so big, it's just a question of consistency. So in order to address that, it was enough to have one a bit thicker than the other. Okay, let's make a quick chazara today's daf. We learned that halal, the entire halal, was said throughout 8 days of Sukkot, Simcha as well, applied on the 8th day as well, because of Vayisach Sameach, which includes the last night and the last day, Liz Simcha. We learned that on the 7th day of Sukkot, you meant to start preparing for Shmini Atzeres after Mincha, start taking down the kelim into the home to prepare the Mokim Seuda of Shmini Atzeres. Now, according to the Rif's approach in the Gemara, it depends where you are. If you're in Eretz Yisrael, then certainly stop preparing on the 7th day. Either bring down the kelim, or if due to lack of space, you're going to end up eating the sukkah Shmini Atzeres, at least do something to indicate that you're not doing it l'shem mitzvah. Otherwise, you're running into Baal Tosef concerns. In order to circumvent that, you have to be peiches ba'arba, remove some of the schach to be placed on the sukkah. Whereas in Chutz La'aretz, you sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres because of Suffolk day 7. So you have a choice. Either you'll bring down the kelim towards the end of the 8th day, or if you end up eating the sukkah even on the 9th, you malik a ner, if it's a sukkah katana. If it's a sukkah gedola where the ner doesn't really interfere, at least bring some dishes into the sukkah to indicate that you're not treating it as a sukkah shel mitzvah. We learned about the Nisach HaMayim ceremony. Now we have a machlekes with regards to the shear. According to Tanna Kama, just as the wine were 3 lugan, likewise the mayim was 3 lugan. They were both poured into different containers. The wine had a thicker, larger hole in order for it to catch up with the pace of the depleting water. According to Rabbi Yehuda, wine was 3 lug, water was just 1 lug, and the hole at the bottom of the wine spout was actually very, very wide to allow for difference in consistency as well as in quantity. We learned about the tzduki, who poured on his feet, and they pelted him with the esrogim. To avoid that in the future, they would instruct him, lift up your hand and show us what you're doing, that you're makayim the mitzvah of Nisach HaMayim properly. Hasach Rabbah, and be well.